blue marble shot. The first of the whole Earth and the only one so far taken. When NASA released the photo, its worldwide impact was immediate and profound. It inspired an environmental movement driven by a sense of humanity's singular, collective fragility inhabiting the exquisite blue planet, Earth, seen from space for the first time, and framed by the black and inhospitable void of outer space. The image generated calls for global togetherness and ecological humility by reorienting how we thought about our species and our planetary obligations. But when NASA first developed the photograph, they saw what they regarded as a problem. It had been taken with the South Pole at the top of the frame, swathed in cloud, Africa in the middle, and the Arabian Peninsula at the bottom. The camera was being held by a weightless astronaut who could not distinguish up from down at the moment he pressed the shutter. Concerned that the photo might disorient viewers' expectations of what the world looked like, NASA inverted the image to align it with most people's assumptions that the North Pole should be at the top and the South Pole at the bottom. The world was literally turned upside down. But which way up is true? The story of the world's most reproduced image of itself shows that there is no universal frame of reference from which to determine absolute direction, even in outer space. All four directions can only be understood from your point of observation, which is defined by where you stand on or above the globe. Reverse the north and south axes, as effectively happened with the Apollo 17 photograph. Invert up and down, and the Earth would appear to rotate clockwise, from east to west. As NASA's treatment of the blue marble photograph shows, most contemporary societies tend to orient their mental and graphic geography with north at the top. But this has not always been the case, and some societies established south or east as their cardinal directions. Their languages and beliefs still reflect such orientation. These four apparently simple and universally accepted terms are far more subjective and specific to time, place, language, and culture than we might realize. There is no reason why north should necessarily sit at the top of modern world maps or photographs. South would do just as well. But the story of why north triumphed lies at the heart of this book. The cardinal directions are relative terms. But over centuries, they have become established markers of not just where we are in the world, but who we are. Early cultures located themselves within their immediate environment. Wherever they lived on the planet, people could observe the sun rising in the direction many named east, or its variants, and watch it setting in the direction they called west. East to west was probably the earliest prime axis that people understood by simply watching the sun's path across the sky. The worship of the sun, or heliolatry, characterized ancient Egyptian worship of several solar deities. Horus, the rising sun, Ra, the noon sun, and Osiris, the dying or setting sun. On the other side of the world, Incan religious cults were also dedicated to sun worship. Temples in Peru's Machu Picchu citadel contain stone guideposts called Intihuatana, translated as the hitching post of the sun, which marked the winter solstice festival of Inti Raymi. Its horizontal solar axis was eventually followed by understanding another vertical axis running north to south, which could be identified by observing both the sun and the stars. At noon, the sun is always due south in the northern hemisphere and due north in the southern hemisphere. The north-south axis also finds its horizontal conformation in the night sky. Living in the northern hemisphere, you can look up at the stars and find north according to Polaris, the north or pole star. Perpendicular to the north is south. If you live in the southern hemisphere, that direction is identified by Polaris Australis, the south star. Combining the two axes, east-west horizontally and north-south vertically, creates four cardinal directions. The word cardinal comes from the Latin cardinalis, meaning hinge, and something of fundamental importance. The cardinal directions are therefore central or pivotal points or principles on which orientation depends, yet, like any hinge, they can move backwards and forwards.